I picked a Tuesday after dinner to say it. I found a place. My mom froze with the ladle midair. My dad folded a napkin into a perfect square like he could fold the moment smaller. 2 weeks. A signed lease. A buzzer with my name on it. What happened next? The bargaining, the last-minute guilt, the keys, the click of a new door that finally sounded like mine. Stay because the hardest part wasn't leaving. It was staying told. I timed it wrong and right at the same time. Wrong because I chose a Tuesday after work, when everyone's nerves were frayed by fluorescent light and traffic. Right because I couldn't keep carrying the decision around like a secret brick in my pocket. The house smelled like onions and dish soap. My mother had the talk radio station on low, the kind with callers who still say, first time, long time. My father sat at the table with the mail sorted into 3 piles, bills, ads, and things he would ignore until they expired on their own. The dog thumped her tail against the cabinet door. Thump, thump, a drumline for a life that didn't know it was changing. I stood at the counter and lined up 3 water glasses like I was staging a scene. Then I ruined the scene by speaking first. I found a place, I said. The words were smaller than the decision but truer than silence. My mother stopped mid-stir, a ladle held above the pot like a punctuation mark. My father looked up the way a person looks when a smoke alarm goes off while they're holding a match. He smiled by habit, then remembered to frown. He said, "Where?" as if a location could heal what he had just heard. My mother said nothing yet, and her nothing was loud. I told them the cross street, the 3rd floor walk-up, the single window that faced a tree with a pale scar in its bark. I told them about the buzzer that actually worked and the super who answered texts. I told them my name would be on the lease, the bills, the mailbox in delicate black letters that would look like they came with the building. The onions hissed. The radio caller said something about baseball that sounded suddenly holy. I poured water, and the glasses rang in 3 different notes, and the dog sighed like a tired ant. "It's nearby," I said, softer. "It's not a goodbye to you. It's a hello to me." The sentence sounded rehearsed because it was. I had practiced it in the car, at my desk, inside the grocery aisle while comparing pasta like choices were noodles. My father cleared his throat. "When?" he said. "Because dates are safer than feelings." 2 weeks, I answered. And the kitchen moved, but no one did. For 2 years since I came back after the breakup, I've stacked my adult life between theirs like extra plates. Useful, heavy, clattering in the cabinet when the house turns. We all told ourselves the cupboard could take it, but the hinges have been squeaking. Socks folded by hands that weren't mine. Questions texted from the living room while I was in a meeting. Dinners that became daily referendums on whether I was eating enough, saving enough, trying hard enough not to cry at the wrong movies. The big truth was simple. I wanted to own my quiet, and you can't receive quiet as a gift inside someone else's walls. I set the table because leaving deserves the courtesy of attention. My mother asked about my day and I offered the trailer, not the film. My father launched into a story about the neighbor's fence blowing sideways and becoming the neighborhood's business. I smiled in the right places because we have rituals for a reason. Then I sat in my usual chair and felt all the Tuesdays we had ever had sit down with me. The radio turned to weather. The ladle found the bowl. I waited for the room to decide who it would be. Now that I had decided who I would be inside it. Silence is a tool in our house, pulled out when words might dent the furniture. My mother set the serving spoon down with a steadiness that felt like a trick. "Is it safe?" she asked, finally. Polite sabotage dressed as concern. "Can you afford it? What about parking?" The litany of love that doesn't want to be left. My father folded a napkin into smaller and smaller squares, a magician making time disappear. "This isn't about us, is it?" he said, which was code for, "Don't make us the villain in your story." I breathed the way I do before a hard meeting. In, count 4, out, count 6, choose kindness that doesn't lie. "It's about me," I said. I ran the numbers. There's room for groceries and savings. The lease is 12 months and not a trap. The building has a buzzer that works, a super who answers, and a laundromat on the corner where the dryers don't lie. My mother listened like a person taste-testing soup someone else made. "Why now?" she asked. The smallest question, the biggest ache. "Because I keep waiting for it to be easy," I said. "And easy isn't coming. I don't want to wake up 5 years from now grateful for all your help and also a stranger to my own decisions." My father found his footing in facts. Deposit? Paid? Neighbors? A woman who teaches yoga at odd hours and a nurse on nights. He nodded at the nurse part, as if safety could be outsourced. The dog chose my mother's feet as Switzerland. The radio switched to traffic, another city's heartbreak. We ate with the effort of people who refused to let food be ruined by news. After dinner, I helped with dishes because endings should respect beginnings. My mother washed like she was scrubbing time. My father dried like he was saving the glasses from whatever came next. He told a story about his first apartment, a mattress on the floor, 3 bowls and 1 pan, a neighbor who played saxophone badly until midnight. I had never heard this version. Our family origin story usually starts with the house, not the rooms before it. He smiled at the memory like it was a younger brother he'd lost track of. In the living room, round two began. Who helped you find it? My mother meant. Was this decided without us? No roommate? My father meant. Who will hear you if you fall? Spare key? He meant. Let me matter. You're my emergency contact, I said, and watched the sentence settle him like a blanket. You'll still come Sundays? My mother asked, which meant. Will people think we pushed you out? I'll come when the soup asks for me, I said, and she almost laughed. Then the bargaining began, because seasons are easier to negotiate than feelings. Stay through summer, she tried, at least until after Auntie's birthday. The deposit is paid, I said gently. The lease is signed. My name is on a buzzer that's waiting for my finger. The room creaked in its old bones. My mother stood, then sat, then stood. I'll help you pack, she said. Then quickly, I don't know if I can. Both were true. Help me choose curtains, I said, and that she could accept. The week between announcement and packing became a museum of small last things. Last Tuesday dinner as the daughter who slept in the blue room with the uneven windows. Last note on the counter in my mother's neat hand, umbrella, as if the sky could forget me. Last time my father asked if I had gas in the car with a tone pretending not to be a prayer. I moved through the rooms with the attention of a thief stealing only what already belonged to me. My sister came with coffee, tape, and hugs that don't try to fix anything. She's better at leaving. She learned early that leaving can be a way to stay yourself. We made a labeling system my father mocked and then adopted. Kitchen, 1, books, 2, bathroom, 1, misc open first. My mother hovered like a nervous bee, landing on decisions and second-guessing them. Do you need this bowl? What about this plant? Will you take the lake painting? The painting had hung in the hallway my whole life, a calm blue that had absorbed 1,000 storms. Yes, I said, surprising us both, and wrapped it in 2 towels as if I were dressing a child for the cold. There were flare-ups. Weather always finds a way. My mother discovered the box labeled Donate and pulled things out like a magician apologizing to scarves. You can't just give away memories, she said, holding a chipped mug that had belonged to an aunt who taught me eggs and holidays. Memories aren't porcelain, I answered. If I keep everything, I can't find anything. She cried, quick and sharp, and my sister took her outside for air. My father stood in the doorway holding a stack of old extension cords like snakes, unsure whether to coil or run. Do you need? He began. No, I said, then softened. Maybe one. He exhaled, saved by practicality. I scheduled internet, ordered sheets, measured the new window because my mother would ask, nor texted a list of things she learned the hard way. Toilet brush, extra bulbs, vinegar, plunger, a plumber who answers texts like a friend. I made my first grocery list. Childish until cumin, foil, and a bottle of oil added gravity. At night, in the blue room, I listened to the house practice letting me go. Pipes spoke their old language. The dog snored. My mother's phone buzzed in the next room with a game she plays when sleep is stubborn. I felt the ache of a life at the edge of itself and let it ache. On Friday, my mother surprised me with curtains. Not lacy, not heavy, oatmeal-colored when oatmeal is behaving. We held them up to the blue room window and pretended it was the new place. The dog approved by yawning and nosing the fabric. I don't know how to do this without making you feel guilty, my mother confessed, eyes shiny. Maybe try proud instead, I offered. She nodded, not agreeing, acknowledging. Show me the tree, she said, meaning the one with the scar. I promised I would. Move-in day arrived like a train you can hear long before you see it. Morning was a rope of lists. My father rented a van that groaned like an old man doing squat. My mother laid out bagels as if carbs could build a bridge over whatever we were losing. My sister brought a Bluetooth speaker and declared no one lifts in silence. I wore my starting line outfit, soft shirt, forgiving jeans, sneakers with kind soles. We lifted with the choreography families learn, my father taking the heavy things as a manifesto, my mother carrying lamps and indignation, my sister solving angles at doorways while I apologized to walls. When we reached the new building, the hallway smelled like new paint pretending to be lemon. The super popped his head out. 3rd floor, right? I'll meet you, he said, and did, with a screwdriver and the face of a man who has seen many fresh starts. We opened the door and the apartment exhaled, as if it had been waiting to be a home instead of an idea. Light fell across the floor like approval. My father walked the perimeter, tapping baseboards, peering into corners, checking a lock twice because twice is his religion. My mother set the curtains over a chair and looked around as if to memorize where she wasn't. The dog circled 3 times and claimed a square of Sunday. At noon, my mother unwrapped the storm painting and hung it slightly crooked because she believes a little wrong invites grace. My father assembled the bed with only one curse word, a family record. The super tightened the buzzer and taught me how to reset it if it sulks. I put the kettle on because houses like to be told tea will be possible. We ate cross-legged on boxes and called it a table. My phone bloomed with hearts and tiny apartment gifts. I showed my mother the tree. It winked its scar back. It's close, she admitted, like a concession in a friendly war. Then came the hinge. Every move has won the second when helpers put on shoes and the room shifts from we to me. We took a family photo against a bare wall, inventing a tradition on the spot. My mother's eyes filled. She didn't make me fix them. My father cleared his throat. Spare key, he said, holding out his palm. I placed one there. He weighed it like a medal and slid it onto his ring with ceremony. My mother tied a knot in the curtain cord because she needed to tie something. My sister pressed the Bluetooth speaker into my hands. Put on music when we leave, she whispered. Let the walls know what they've gotten. They left like a tide, still present in the air after the water goes. I closed the door gently, and it made the click I have wanted to hear for years, the sound that says the boundary works. I leaned my head against it for one breath. Not a prayer, a thank you. Then I walked the perimeter like my father does, touching walls, introducing myself to corners. I opened the window and laughed, alone and not lonely. The radiator hissed like a cat with manners. I sat on the floor, ate a slice of bread like a queen, and sent my sister a photo captioned, I live here now. The days after were a lesson in small sovereignty. Morning established itself with the hum of buses and the bakery 2 blocks over waking its ovens. I learned the sound the building makes when someone on the second floor forgets a pot on the stove. I learned my own footsteps. I put my spoon where I wanted and it stayed. That first Sunday, I woke early out of habit and went back to sleep because no one needed me to move a car or cut fruit. When I did make coffee, I drank it on the windowsill with my feet tucked under me like a child who had outgrown nothing important. Practicalities arrived like mail. Auto pay set. Toilet brush purchased per Noor's list. I made friends with a neighbor who folds laundry like origami and traded detergent brands like secrets. My mother texted photos of the dog with captions that sounded suspiciously like grandparenting. My father sent weather alerts and an article about fire escapes, trying to bully danger into behaving with information. I replied with pictures of the storm painting, the kettle, the way the curtains softened the afternoon. Inside the ease, there were small wars. On Wednesday, my mother said, Your father thinks you're coming Sunday, and I said, I might try a Sunday alone. The quiet between us felt like rain deciding whether to be hail. Okay, she said at last, but take leftovers. And we laughed because habits have elbows. At work, a deadline snagged and the old urge to drive home and sit at the table tugged at me. I walked instead, bought a peach, ate it on the curb, and didn't need rescuing. One night, the liar burner told an honest lie and filled the apartment with smoke. I set off the alarm, met 3 neighbors in pajamas in the hall. We fanned and joked. Someone offered a better pan. I texted my mother the story. See? You should have taken the other pan, she said. I'm learning, I answered. Me too, she said. And I believed her. Bills came and they were mine. Quiet came and it was, too. I learned I like eating late, and lighting the soft lamp, and letting the day fold without witnesses. I also learned that loneliness can masquerade as freedom, if you don't turn on music. On those nights, my sister and I watched the same show in different apartments and texted commentary like teenagers. I put a bowl by the door for keys and felt like a person who knows what she will come home to. On the second Sunday, I went back for soup. The house felt smaller and bigger. My mother fussed less. My father didn't walk me to the car with warnings. We ate, we talked, and we didn't reenact the old parts with as much conviction. When I left, my mother stacked leftovers like a promise. I didn't cry, she said. I did, I admitted, but at the tree. We laughed, and the road home felt short in the right way. I thought resolution would be a ribbon cut. Instead, it arrived as doors that opened without complaint. I kept waiting to doubt myself, for a night when the bed felt like a decision I couldn't unmake. It didn't come. Doubts did appear, small and reasonable, and left when given jobs. Call the plumber, buy salt, text my mother a photo of the curtains at dusk. My parents adjusted in their style. My mother took up beading and started sending photos of bracelets like weather reports. Today, periwinkle, chance of silver. My father discovered the joy of forwarding articles that say experts agree. One evening I invited them to dinner, and this was the test I hadn't realized I'd promised myself. I cleaned the tiny kitchen twice. I set the table with the bowls my mother tried to rescue from donate. I cooked the soup we make when the weather forgets itself and bought a loaf from the bakery that burns bottom crusts like a reliable flaw. They arrived with the dog and a plant that will definitely judge me. My father inspected the locks like foreplay for pride. My mother tried not to rearrange anything and succeeded for an entire song. We ate. They cheered when I produced a functioning dessert. My father stood at the window and said, "Good tree." My mother touched the storm painting and said, "You hung it better than I would have," which is her native dialect for well done. After they left, I let the water run too long and didn't scold myself. Abundance is not always a sin. We did have one more flare-up because change takes victory laps. A cousin asked my mother if I was running away. I moved down the street. Not to the moon, I said. Family will talk, she warned. Let them practice with my name, I answered. It won't break me. She laughed. I want to be you when I grow up, she said. And then we both cried a little, which seems to be our new tradition. My father asked about taxes in a voice that meant he missed me. I invited him over with a shoebox of receipts, and we made a holiday out of deductions. On a Saturday in late spring, I sat on a park bench under the tree's cousin and wrote the sentence I'd been waiting to write. I told them, and I stayed told. The piece that followed wasn't cinematic. It was utilitarian and gold. I went to the market, bought too many peaches, called my mother to ask how not to bruise them. Eat them faster, she said. Back home, I hung the lake painting and the apartment accepted it like a compliment. When the sun slid across the floor and touched both frames, the storm and the lake, I understood something with my bones. The moment I told my parents I was moving out wasn't an ending. It was a hinge. On one side, the life that made me. On the other, the life I'm making. Both doors open now, and they don't slam.